The Bellingham Selectboard Meeting tonight is Monday, the 21st of November, 2022, and as is customary, we honor America by pledging allegiance to our flag. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. All of us are here except for Mr. Connor, who is not able to be here due to a previous commitment with school. So I just want to welcome everybody here tonight. And first on our agenda, we have a Town of Bellingham public hearing notice that I'd like to read. In accordance with Chapter 138, Mass General Law, the Bellingham Select Board will hold a public hearing on November 21st, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center Arcan Meeting Room on the application of Aniba Macarios, Inc., DBA Gateway Liquors, Amy McHale, manager for the transfer of the package store all alcohol license from Shri Hari LLC. Premises located at 3 Mechanic Street, respectfully, Dollar Martinez. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, board. Good evening. My name is Matthew Porter. I'm the attorney for Aniba Macarios, Inc. Along with me is the sole owner of Aniba Macarios, Inc., Ani McHale. Before the board is the transfer of the all alcohol package store license related to Gateway Liquors at 3 Mechanic Street. It's been a very smooth transition so far. The seller is here with us this evening as well, in case there's any questions of the seller. But a very straightforward transfer. There's no major anticipated changes to the business, no changes to the structure, no changes to the hours whatsoever. Mr. McHale comes from the retail world on the restaurant side, owned a restaurant for a period of time. This is a new venture that he's entering into here. But he's gone through and is continuing to go through his alcohol training. Over the last month, he's been able to work at the store with the seller, continue to do through the sale. So it should be a very smooth transition. The lease is in place. All the financing is in order. So with that, I can certainly answer any questions the board may have, and Mr. McHale can as well.
Starting with the board members, Mr. Grant, do you have any questions?
Nope, the application seems well intact.
Okay. Mrs. McNulty?
United.
Mr. Smith, no questions whatsoever? Yeah. Anything, any comments? So I just have one question. I think we were here a handful of months ago and there was a transfer. Did that transfer not happen? Or it was maybe the owner can speak. If you were here a while ago to transfer it, did that transfer that happened that you were here a few months ago not happen?
No, it did not happen.
Okay.
I guess his partner changed his mind last minute. Okay. Cancel.
So he can't speak for himself?
Oh, I'm sorry. Because
Okay, I'm not trying to be rude. or anything.
No,
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, unless you're his lawyer, he really should speak for himself.
Everybody's lawyer.
Fair enough. So, okay, so this is, this is a new transaction, et cetera. Okay, I'm good. I mean,
The other buyer pulled the transaction when it had already gone to the ABC.
okay, so has this gone before the?
No, it goes to you first.
This goes first, right? Nothing else from the board? I take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second?
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
So that's to close the hearing.
Oh, yeah, I have a motion to close the hearing. Thank you,
Motion to
Dennis.
close the hearing? Second.
We have a first and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now I'd like to go back to address the motion to approve the transfer. We have a motion for the transfer.
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second. All in favor?
Excellent. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Take care.
You're welcome. Next, library trustees. Bernadette, are you here?
I'm here.
I know you're here.
McNaylor is the candidate, so I don't know if Nicole as the chair should be. I don't know who should be.
The chair and Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah. I should be.
This should be pretty easy. I think.
Wondering if I needed a seat.
No, it's always
Yes,
really.
we typed up and submitted it 24 hours ago.
I think it's wonderful that you're volunteering your time for the library. And by the looks of your application. You have a very strong background, and it's really wonderful to have someone with your background and willingness to spend time and work with our library, which is very coveted in this town.
Yeah.
We have such a
Best library
wonderful
around.
library.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about yourself.
Well, right now I'm homeschooling my two kids. They're 6 and 4. So we go to the library like at least 3 times a week. We're devastated that Mr. Steve is leaving.
Well, I think we all are.
Yeah. It's a hard day.
Yes.
But I think he suggested it to me, actually. So if I can be involved in any way, I'll definitely be in this town for many years to come. So we've been here for 7 years now. And just a good way, since I'm with my kids, to have something for me to devote myself to as well. I have my master's in higher education administration. I was working at Brown as a study abroad advisor before when my daughter was born, my youngest, and I decided to stay home with them. So just hope to bring whatever I can to the library and to the community too.
Any questions from the board?
I just have one. So obviously we're appointing you to an open vacancy. So is it your intent to run for the elected position come the spring? Correct? It's in the spring, right? Yeah.
You mean like a specific position?
So this one, so we're appointing you or hopefully appointing you to library trustee position.
Yep.
But then you'd have to actually, it is an elected position.
Okay.
So you're anticipating that you will run for the elected position in the spring.
Yes, I understand. now,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions from the board? No?
I think it's exciting to
Yeah, I do
be
too.
as interested as you are, and be a nice perspective to add to a solid existing board of trustees, so.
Any comments from the existing trustees or from Bernadette?
I think she'll have a different perspective as a homeschooling parent. That would be a good view for us to have. And she seemed very enthusiastic. I'm excited to have a full board for the first time in a local year. So that'll be great.
Yeah. I agree. I also spoke with Michaela for a while.
That's almost 2 years.
We're excited.
Awesome.
Excellent. All right. Are any further comments? No? Good. So I'd like to call for a vote. Is it a joint appointment? So how do we, yeah, I've not done this before. Everybody votes. Okay, I have a motion.
So moved.
So moved. A second. 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 So I'll call for a vote from the trustees and from the select board.
Aye.
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 So motion
Sounds like it was
carries.
unanimous.
I think it was
Yep.
unanimous. It's Michaela.
Michaela.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. And thank you to the Board of Trustees for doing a wonderful job with our library. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, now it's time to work, right?
Okay.
So I'll send out.
I was trying to get out.
Can we do that? All right, so why don't we do the existing grant acceptance part?
Great, I'll send it tomorrow, or today. Just
The
to.
following existing grant represents the board for review and acceptance, authorized spending without appropriation for Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A. Would anybody like to make the motion?
I move that the Board of Selectmen accept the gifts and grants as listed herein with said expenditures to be under the direction of the parties noted.
We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
We have a first and we have a second. Did you get that, Hillary?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
All opposed? Motion carries. Unanimous. Great. Get that one right, Dennis? Yep. All right, date abatements.
Would like to make a motion to accept October 2022 abatements. Capital improvement charge of $375. Sewer, $2,689.37. Stormwater, $132. Trash, $626. Water, $2,221.50. Grand total of $6,043.87.
Second,
We have a first, we have a second. Any discussion? I have a question. Hillary, there's a $2,488.25. This is error. Do you know anything about the error on that? It's on page 2.
Page 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
what is it?
Does it say where the error is?
Bottom, yeah.
The Pulaski Boulevard one,
Okay, there is. No.
it says it right here on that
Yeah,
first
I'm
page.
seeing it. Yeah.
Okay,
All right, thank you. We have a first, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we have statements, gifts and grants. Let's vote on the September 7th minutes.
I make a motion to accept the November 7th minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a first, we have a second. Any questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Just say one there if you want me to bring it up.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Jeff.
you haven't, actually, I sent an email out yesterday. I know you've got a copy of the request from 0 Point. 0 Point is the battery storage outfit that we had awarded in response to their request, our request for proposal. They submitted a proposal to put a battery storage up at the site of the former Pearl Street Mill. They're also going to do some restoration up there and will make it look a lot nicer. I know it'll be going before the planning board as well, so they'll have some requirements as far as screening, but I still think it's a great project. The board did award the contract to them some time ago. There are 3 extensions, 6 months of extensions provided for in the agreement that we have. This is the second of the 3. I can tell you they have been actively working towards permitting. It's a lengthy process for the interconnection with Eversource, so that's kind of what's holding it up right now. But they have been active. They haven't been non-responsive to getting this operation going. It's about $100,000 annual agreement with the town for the lease of the property. So I still think it's a great opportunity for the town. It cleans up that site. And DPW will still be utilizing it for some of the stockpiling of materials that they use it for. So it does require an approval of a 6-month extension, and likely there'll be one more. The board did approve on 6 months ago, so there'll be a 6-month extension as contractually provided to 0 Point Battery Development Company LLC.
Do we have a motion to approve the 6-month extension?
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second, we have a first, we have a second. Any questions for Dennis? No? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I just need you to sign that.
Okay.
extension.
We are ripping through. Yeah, we do have our. Are they here?
Yeah, want me to introduce them?
Yeah, please.
All right. So the next item on the agenda, is something we've been talking about, it seems for quite some time ago. About the transitions that we're looking at in the upcoming year. We addressed one 2 weeks ago with the Department of Public Works and the new director there. What we're looking at with Jesse filling in. Chief Daigle's retirement's coming up the end of May, and also Chief Gentiles is coming along. So we did go out with an RFQ process to hire an assessment center to look at filling the chief police chief's position. As you know, that's a civil service position, so it's a little bit more involved. The board did award a contract to public safety consultants, and the 2 principals for public safety consultants are here, Chief Russell Stevens and Chief Wayne Sampson. And we've asked them to come in, as you know, to talk a little about the assessment center, how the process works, the time frame, and get us all up to speed on what we need to know. As I say, the civil service with Chief Daigle's position, the police, is a little bit more complicated. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. But we hope to use DSC to do Chief Gentiles' position as well, which will be different since it's not guided by civil service. So Wayne and Russ, I turn it over to you.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Chief Stevens and myself, we'd like to introduce ourselves. Both of us have our police chiefs. I'm retired. Russ is still active. By way of history, we've been in business for 15 plus years here in Massachusetts. We've worked in over 150 Massachusetts communities, and all we do is public safety. We don't do anything else. We've conducted over 400 of these assessments, and over 100 of the upper level management, chief, deputy chief positions, especially during the last 3 years when there's been a huge turnover. Having come from a civil service department myself, I fully understand how stringent the requirements are. We have been actually conducting assessments under the guidelines of civil service since 2008. So we have a lot of experience in this field. We have done some open competitive examinations in the past. So we have that experience as well. And because of the number that we do, I work very closely with civil service on these. So there's a lot of respect there. We are very proud of the fact that in our 15 plus years, we have never had a single case appealed to civil service based on our assessment center. So we have a very good record down at civil service for knowing the rules and standing by the rules and doing what's required on our part. That being said, this is a civil service examination. We are bound by all of their rules and regulations, and the candidates will be entitled to all of the benefits of civil service as they go through that process. It is a very strict process setting up the guidelines. The town has already received a delegation agreement which spells out the duties of civil service, the duties of the town, and the duties of us as the vendor. One of the things that I would like to point out to you is we are required to develop a security plan for the assessment center so as to ensure the integrity of the process throughout. We have a very simple security program, and that is, even though we do very intensive background work with the community so that we really understand your culture, any problems that you might have in the community, but also the benefits and the positive aspects of the community. We like to know a lot about the police department because we really focus on both, three things: local, regional, and national aspects of policing, because every police chief today is only one call away from that national headline. So we want to make sure that your candidates are well tested in that process. The assessment center process is a very strict process. We actually have to follow international guidelines and how to conduct them. And that's what we do. So by way of a brief introduction, Russ, Chief, unless you want to jump in with something, we'd be happy to answer any questions that the board might have relative to our responsibility in the process.
That's what I'd like you to focus on, if you could, just to take us through step by step the process for which we'll get to the candidates that you present to us. So you
Sure.
take us through that process. Thanks.
So, Chief, you want me to do that? Yeah, okay. So here's what's going to happen under the civil service guidelines. Now that the delegation agreement has been signed, now we can officially talk to the town and civil service regarding the process and what we're going to do. One of the first things we have to do is we have to conduct a job task analysis that is designed by using 3 separate independent criteria to determine the knowledge, skills, and abilities of the exercises that we will present to the candidates on that particular day. It's not predetermined. We don't know what they are already, because a lot of that will come out in our research in the about the community, what the community is facing, what your department is facing, and what your vision is for the future as well. So that's what we look at. Once we get that job task analysis done, then we can start to focus in on some of the particulars of your community. And through working with the town administrator and anybody else that he would like us to at least interview or talk to, Chief Stevens and I will determine, based on our job task analysis, the types of exercises that will be developed. Now, while there may only be 5 exercises, each of those exercises might have 5 to 8 individual components to them. So it's not just 5 questions. There might be 30 to 40 topics that we're actually looking at throughout the day. For the civil service process, we have to notify civil service of a general description of our exercises. They will approve them. They will approve the knowledge, skills, and abilities that we are testing in each of those exercises. We're going to provide them with a copy of your job description. They will develop the public notice that they post on their website, advertising for candidates. There are some other things you can do if you want to go out to a broader spectrum of candidates, across Massachusetts. We would caution you not to try to do a national search. Our experience tells us that when we do that, you may get 10 or 15 candidates from across the country. Most of them know absolutely nothing about your community. They're trying to leave their area for whatever reason. We haven't had good luck with candidates from across the country. Now, if you talk New England wide, we have had terrific experience in the past with candidates from Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. So, they're very viable candidates. They understand the culture of our area of the country, at least. So civil service will give approximately, they will give exactly 21 days notice of publication for candidates to sign up. At that time, they will only give us the name of the candidate. That's it. And then we have to determine, based on the number of candidates, how many teams we're going to bring in to interview those candidates. I will tell you historically that when we've done this in the past, I think you could get anywhere from 20 to 30, 35 candidates potentially. If that's the case, we would actually have 1 team per exercise. And under the national guidelines, we have to have the same team do the same exercise for every single candidate. That way we ensure the integrity of the process. We also ensure the validity of the scoring for every single candidate by having only 1 team do each exercise. And we go through the process as that. At the end of the process of the testing process, we send all the scores into civil service. They will add any of the statutory points that the candidates are entitled to. And they will send the town a ranking of the candidates, but they will not tell you what the scores are. Nobody, we do not even know what the final scores are. Civil service does not tell us. The candidates will be told individually, but no one else. And then at that point, you have the right to take one of the top 3. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat here because this just came out last week. We are working statewide very diligently right now. Chief Stevens and I are both involved in the statewide process that's going on. There was a recent Superior Court decision that found that the civil service promotional process was discriminatory. And they have set forth some guidelines that civil service is required to remedy quickly. And we have, Chief Stevens and myself, we've already been talking about things that we can do in our process to improve that. Now, I want to point out that they focused on the written examination by civil service, and they were highly complimentary of the assessment center process. The judge found that the knowledge, skills, and abilities evaluated in the assessment process were far superior to the written examination. But there are still some things that we can do because we're at the forefront of this. We want to be a step ahead of everybody else and make sure that we do everything by the book and we do everything right. So that's what the process would look like. I think the reason I mentioned this is I think that at the end of this process, the appointing authorities might have a little greater leeway at looking at a broader scope of a candidate's past in evaluating their qualifications to be your next chief. So I think that that is positive. And Chief Stevens and I, we had this discussion this morning on things that we can do possibly down the road to assist your community in making sure that you have every opportunity to evaluate as many candidates as possible.
Great. Any questions from the board? Okay, please.
Mr. Chairman. What towns are you currently working with that are, or who are you working with that might be local to us in terms of this process?
So we're very careful here not to put that out. That could be, I see that there's somebody from the police department on. By making that statement publicly, we could give some candidate an advantage by calling people to find out the questions that we ask. We have given the town a list of our prior clients, and I think that you can find that out by doing your background calls by them.
Okay.
That's fair. From beginning to end, how long do you envision this process taking? I know obviously it's dependent upon how many people come forth, but can you give us like an average?
Sure. So we have to give civil service 8 weeks notice from the time that we give them the vendor's notice to the time that we can actually hold it. So within the next couple of weeks, Chief Stevens and myself will get together with the town administrator. We'll pick a date. We believe it'll be mid to end of February that we'll give the assessment. It doesn't matter to us how many candidates there are. We just have to fit them into the exercises that we have.
Okay.
And then, this might help you. So if we give the assessment, let's say we give it the third week of February. There's 5 days from the date of the test. Candidates have 5 days to appeal the exercises that we give. As I indicated, in over 15 years, we have never had an appeal, and we're not going to change our process now. Then after that 5 days, 7 days is up, I'm sorry. After that 7 days is up, civil service will then process the scores. It'll take them approximately 30 days to process all of these scores. At the end of that 30 days, they will notify the candidates of their individual scores. Candidates then have 17 days to appeal any statutory points that they believe that they might be entitled to. At the end of that 17 days, civil service will then issue the ranking to the town. And you can then begin the next phase of your process, such as interviews, background checks, things like that.
So this is really cutting it close for us then.
No, I think as far as the timetable goes, I think we're pretty much on pace for what you had recommended to begin with. As far as getting this done in time for the chief's retirement at the end of May.
Correct. So we can, I mean, we can certainly move that back a little bit. We can send in the vendors notice earlier so that they post it earlier. Because we can, I mean, we are available to do it earlier in February. That's no problem.
Yeah, I think we want to do it in such a way that it makes sense from the perspective of knowing Chief Daigle's going to be retiring the end of May. I think we want to come to a decision the 1st of April, so a chief has a couple of months to give his own community type thing. Whoever the selected candidate is, it would have 60 days more or less to give notice, et cetera. So if that's the target for us to be able to make a decision, we're kind of backing into that. And I know Russ and I had talked about that earlier today, and he seemed to think that was a reasonable schedule.
Sure. Rush, you want to just back it up to the beginning of February?
Yeah, I think we look at the beginning of February. We'll get the vendor forms out sooner than later, and then we'll start the clock ticking then. That way it gives them enough time to go through their process.
Okay, so if we get the vendor form in probably next week.
Yep.
Then we would be ready around the beginning of February to give the assessment.
Yeah, that makes me nervous, didn't it? I know it doesn't, it seems tight. I'd rather give us more time.
Yeah,
They could have candidates get sick, and they're good candidates, they have COVID, they're all for 2 weeks, you know, you need to add some time in there, some buffer time. To get through the process.
I got a question.
Okay.
Chief, you said you're gonna bring some teams for each candidate.
Yes.
How many people usually in those teams is what kind of steps they usually take it, like, you know, to go through each
I'm sorry, what your question is, what does the team look like?
Each candidate, you said you'd bring some teams in. for the
Yes.
Assessments.
Okay.
So how many people in those teams?
So each team consists of 3 police chiefs
Okay,
and usually a coordinator as well. So each team is generally 4 people. And that way, the coordinator will always make sure that the right candidate is in the right place for the testing purposes throughout the day. One of the requirements of civil service is that we can never use an assessor that is a lower rank than what is being tested. So in this case, because it's a police chief that we're testing for, we can only use police chiefs as the assessors.
okay. Yeah, that answered my question. Thank you.
No, my concern was the timeline, and if we can move that up, I would feel much more comfortable with the process.
I guess when I'm looking at the days, I don't want to assume, but I'm assuming these are calendar days and not business days, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah.
8 weeks.
They could appeal on Saturday or Sunday just as easy. I just want to make sure that, you know, it's calendar days, not business days.
That's correct.
So most likely, board, we'll try to do, because it's a chief and we bring in chiefs, we might try to find a Saturday in your town. We would use a location that you would find. So it could be somewhere in your town. It could be, Saturdays are good to use the town hall because predominantly your town hall is not open on a Saturday. It could be your senior center. We don't recommend using the police department. We like to keep this out of the police department. So what we would need is, and I'll talk to Dennis about it, is a building or a place that we can hold it on a Saturday. And we're there for the day. It's an all day, it takes all day to process this. And the library, the town hall, any place that, and we just need a large room that we could do the role play in. We need 3 rooms, depending on how many teams we use. And that's why it's important that we keep track of the amount of numbers, because if we bring in more teams, because we have more candidates, then we need more rooms. And I'll take care of, you know what I'll do tomorrow, Dennis? I will work on this tomorrow. I'll look at the calendar tomorrow and I'll see how far we can pull it back direction to set up a date.
Yep, you know what we're looking for. We're looking to make a decision that beginning of April, to give the chief plenty of time to transition in.
Yep, understood.
Okay.
So we're probably looking at around the first week of February.
Right. Yeah, counting back the 8 weeks for putting in the vendor detail form.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? No?
No, so as far as, I think one of the big things, and I know we've talked about it, there's really no, other than the administrative side, there's no role for us in this process until such time as civil service responds with the list of candidates.
That's correct. And at that point, you would follow your normal process for interviewing a department head.
Right. Excellent.
And we get to interview the top 3 if we choose.
Yep. Well,
That's correct.
Okay.
It's different than, and Dennis, you alluded to it, it's different than your fire chief search, because your fire chief is not a civil service position. So they're 2 totally different styles of a search. One is governed by civil service process, which is very strict on how it's conducted, and one is not governed by civil service process. So it's a little more flexible.
To switch gears just for a minute, how much time, knowing that the fire chief's position is not civil service, how much time do you think you'd like to have to get that process started from the very beginning? We don't have a firm date. The chief's been talking mid-June, but that could move a little. He's talked to me about the first of the year, giving us a firm date, so we'll have a firm date. But how much time do you think we would need ahead of his retirement, assuming we want somebody in place upon his retirement?
So we like to schedule 3 months for the process, but you also want to make sure that that person has at least 30 days to give notice wherever they might be too.
Right.
If that's it. So we recommend 3 to 4 months for a whole process.
Excellent. Great.
All right. No other questions, guys. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to getting through this process. So,
And we will be available throughout the entire process in the event you have any questions at all.
perfect. Thank you.
Great.
Great.
All right. Have a nice evening. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very
Likewise.
much.
All right,
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
I didn't notice.
Hamilton?
Yeah.
And did you see the list of?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
They've done, as they said, 150 or so.
That's
They
great.
shared with us the numbers that they have are doing recently, but we received 3 responses to our, they all had extensive experience, but Beth and I certainly felt, and it just so happened that from a pricing perspective,
Yeah.
they were the lowest.
Mhm.
And we just felt that they really had what we were looking for in the conversations we had. And they have to be approved by civil service anyway. That's what we got the list of.
Did you?
All right.
Yep, they have to be certified by civil service, because obviously it's a complicated process. They want to make sure that they're dealing with firms that have a lot of experience in the field.
I know we discussed it, but with what happened at town meeting with civil service.
Yeah, that will take time.
To get through the
To
government.
get through the
all that,
process.
yeah, all
There's
that
about
stuff, right?
20 communities right now
Yeah,
that
I
are in the
remember
same
saying that.
situation that we are. So it has slowed down as far as the legislature taking action, because they actually have to take action on it as far as communities petitioning to get out of civil service.
Even if we weren't, so
Could be a year or
it would
two.
be helpful to use.
Oh, yeah.
too,
Well,
for
we'll be
sure.
using it for the fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good sense. Okay.
And with the issues that civil service is having and not scoring the written exams,
Yeah.
that personally, I feel the writing might be on the wall, that this is the way that things are going to get pushed
Yeah.
to go. Which will also
To see
be a
the
financial
momentum.
burden to different towns if you have to constantly have assessment centers, so.
Yeah. you know, the price associated. Some communities do use them for sergeants and lieutenants. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they actually have on their website examination scheduled right now for different, like Seacon Fire Department, Dalton Mass Police Officer, Belchertown Police Officer, and those are readily available for anyone to sign up, so they're, you know, definitely being utilized.
Dennis,
On everything.
I think, Tom, do you have a report or anything?
No, I didn't think so. The only thing we had was our
Darrow Point. No, that's it. I just want, so, I think that we have filled our agenda for the evening. I will entertain a motion to close the meeting. So we have a first, we have a second, we have a first and a second. We'll call the meeting to end at 7:40 p.m. Want to thank everyone out there who's joined either through Cable 8 or Zoom, and want to wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving, and for those that are traveling, safe travel. Have a nice evening.